Jeff Yeomans and the 540 Slingers Club were on board the Amigo for a 2-day trip. They fished Tanner Bank area and had limits of bluefin tuna for 2 days. That is 4 bluefin tuna per angler. They also had some big yellows. Beautiful weather and the fish biting really well on 25 to 40 pound fluorocarbon with a good hot bait. Excellent fishing on the Amigo. The 540 Slingers Club boys really putting it to it. Patron out of 22nd Street Landing in beautiful San Pedro, California is fishing Tanner Bank today. Limits of bluefin tuna, that is 2 bluefin tuna per angler per day in the United States, and also some awfully big yellowtail out in that neck of the woods. Really good fishing on the El Patron. You can get on board by calling 310-832-8304. Get on the El Patron. Local bass fishing continues in Southern California for private boaters and sport boats alike. Sand bass and calico bass raining on. Captain Dave Dodge was out on a private boat and scored these calico and sand bass. Easy limits in Southern California from San Diego all the way up to the Channel Islands. Great bass fishing this everybody, year. It's Philip here from Friedman Adventures. Pat Whitaker, captain of the bait boat Mañana, will be at Catalina Island on Monday selling live bait for you. Make sure you call him on Channel 11. You can see his phone number. You can also give him a call there to make sure about his location as well as bait availability. He should be right outside of the casino, east end of Catalina Island. There's been some good fishing there for calico bass and other species. Get your live bait at Catalina Island and say hi to Pat for me.
Another scoop, Brad.
Hey, good morning, my friends, and welcome to beautiful Surfside, California on an overcast morning in Southern California. It's great to be with you all. We've got so much going on, including these guys are really putting the hammer down on the surf fish this morning here. There's been great surf fishing up and down the Southern California coast and, of course, down there in northern Baja. Great time to visit our friends at Big Fish Bait and Tackle on the corner of Seal Beach Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway. They're your surf fishing headquarters. And, you know, if you're on a budget, as I like to say, man, surf fishing, it offers a lot of fun, excitement. You're the captain. You decide where to fish. And, man, it has been super productive here this morning. Nice spot fin, a yellowfin croaker biting full speed. Guys are digging up sandworms here, using those. And, man, has it been effective. Great fishing. All right, I digress because I've got all this excitement going on behind me. And, man, I really want to try to get some time in here this morning and see if I can't get a bite right after I get the morning briefing to you all. Bluefin tuna are getting bigger. There's a lot of them. It's really great fishing right now, but we have some wind on the horizon, no question about it. Our horizon trip leaves out of H&M Landing tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Looks like we're going to encounter some of those winds. Will the winds put a stop to this great bluefin tuna fishing? Only time will tell. I don't think so. I think it's going to keep right on biting. Albacore exploratory trip going on up there out of Morro Bay, California. Do I think it could happen? I definitely do. As Valentino goes by, we say good morning to him. Great guy. Also, we're watching the sea bass and halibut in the Channel Islands. Did that bite? Is it over with for the year? Great local bass fishing continuing to go on right now as that bite has been phenomenal. Catalina acting up, San Clemente Island. Hey, you know what time it is, everybody. It is time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. Oh, the Orange County Fair is over. Of course, I worked the entire fair, and it's time to get maybe 6 hours sleep in a night. I'm all ears again, and I'm happy to be back. It was a great time at the OC Fair, and I saw so many anglers out there, and I want to thank them all, each and every one of you, for coming by. As I want to thank everybody who tunes in, the thousands of you every single day, to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel and listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcast or any other number of ways. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It's deeply appreciated as we are accumulating millions and millions of views. And man, I owe that all to you. If you have time, hit the like button, please. Share these videos. Tick that bell. You'll be notified when there is new content. And of course, subscribe to the channel. All right, so much to get into with you all. Let's go south of the border talk a little bit about Ensenada, that beautiful coastal city in Mexico, lindo, and down there about 70 miles past TJ, Tijuana. We see some really good inshore fishing, bonita, bass, barracuda, all that stuff, still biting less on the barracuda, and really good bass fishing, occasional halibut. There's even been the occasional white sea bass taken down there. So really good inshore fishing. The offshore scene is a little more hit and miss, but kelps are holding some yellowtail and dorado. At times, if you find the right kelp patty, it can be wide open dorado. It can be really, really good. In other times, man, you find all these kelps and not one of them is holding. Guys are still trolling Mad Mac lures down there and coming up with some okay bluefin tuna. Again, hit and miss. It's the nature of the beast when you're fishing for bluefin tuna. And we're certainly seeing that scenario play out down there in northern Baja. We've got gorgeous weather, by the way, down there. Flat, calm seas. It's gorgeous up in the San Diego zone also. So nice seas again here today. And I've got my suspicion the boys are going to be pounding on them here again today. We get you up and start talking San Diego and their bluefin tuna bite. And man, it is just hit its stride. In fact, let's just kind of group LA Orange County-based boats and San Diego-based boats together because most of them are fishing the banks, Cortez and Tanner Bank right now. And all those guys are doing really, really well. You saw on the lead-in the El Patron out of 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro. Limits of bluefin tuna and some big yellows. Also, those yellows are gorgeous fish, and they've been biting pretty well also. Really, really good stuff. The Thunderbird out of Davies Locker at Newport Beach. I got to tell you, man, they had some really big fish. And as we said, as we led into today's report, the bluefin are getting bigger. We don't need a bigger boat yet, but it's getting close. A lot of 60 to 80 pound fish right now. In fact, the casualty rates were high. Jeff Markland, who runs the Thunderbird out of Davies Locker, Newport Beach, said, we lost a lot. We got our butts kicked on some of these fish because they are so big. 35 bluefin tuna, a dozen of those fish, 60 to 80 pounds. So really excellent grade of fish right now. That means you should up your tackle. There's no doubt about that. You're definitely going to need some 60 to 80 pound. If you're fishing at night, you need that 100-pound Spectra for sure. And I like 200-pound leaders on 300 to 400 gram jigs. Now, with this wind coming up, I'd be leaning toward the 400 gram if you're fishing at night. But the daytime bite has been spectacular, and it just seems to get better and better and better. Really great fishing. Again, the wind is in the forecast. We'll see what that does to everything. I think it's still going to be fishable out in that neck of the woods, especially as you look at Wednesday morning. Then it blows up in the afternoon. Might have to get out of there by the afternoon, but we'll see how that all plays out. I've caught bluefin, albacore, all kinds of species in snottier weather than what is forecast. We'll hang on and watch and see what happens. Great fishing for the 540 slingers, guys. They had limits of bluefin tuna on the Amigo. Also out of 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, California. 310-832-8304 to get on the El Patron or any other boat out of 22nd Street Landing that you would like to jump on. Pacifica overnight trip out of San Diego. 38 bluefin tuna. Aztec, Tribute, Polaris Supreme, all limiting out on bluefin. In fact, on the Polaris Supreme, they were on a 3-day, 144 bluefin tuna. There's some of that 20 to 40 pound bluefin tuna. There's an awful lot of 60 to 80 pound fish starting to show up now. And man, is that a really welcome sight to see bigger grade bluefin starting to enter into the picture a little bit. Just a little bit of yellowfin tuna around. We haven't seen a whole lot of that YFT, not as much as I thought. There's been a substantial amount of seiner pressure, boats that wrap with a net, wrap yellowfin tuna. Some surmise that that's the problem. Could be. I'm sure they're having an impact. I know they're having an impact, but there's going to be more YFT that flood in here, and I think we'll see that here in the late summer and into the fall when we ride this thing, this El Nino. With all that warm water, we'll ride it right past the 1st of January. At least that's what I am thinking. And of course, I'm looking forward to the Endeavor getting out of Morro Bay. Tuesday night, they have an albacore exploratory trip scheduled. That should be very interesting. Wouldn't surprise me at all. We've had Albacore being taken out of Half Moon Bay, California, up there out of San Francisco, California. There's a lot of albie wandering around up there, and we'll keep our eyes on that and see where we go from here. Ernesto Valdepeñas. Sorry about that, Ernesto Valdepeñas. He was on board the Tornado. Look at the quality of some of those bluefin tuna. The Freedom out of 22nd Street Landing, also with outstanding fishing. On board the Freedom, they ended up with 76 bluefin tuna, 30 yellowtail on a 2-day trip. How can it get any better than that? We are truly blessed here in SoCal. The bite on the beach, offshore, at the islands has been spectacular, and it just seems to get better and better and better. So really great fishing going on. Yeah, there are some misses, and those one-day guys, boats that leave in the morning, come back in the evening out of San Diego, are still struggling. We got a little sign of life yesterday on the San Diego. They had 7 bluefin tuna and a yellowfin tuna. Haven't seen any bluefin to speak of on those kind of trips. On board the Sea Watch, 26 guys, 3 yellowfin and 2 yellowtail. Remains really tough fishing for those boys. And man, when it comes time to leave a tip for the boys, these are the days when they work harder for you. I'm telling you, I've been there. I've done it. Those are the days when you burn your eyes out with the binocs, when you're working hard, and man, it's so frustrating. Nobody wants to catch fish more than the guys on those boats, and they work their tails off. So please keep that in mind at tip time. Never tip your crew based on what you catch. Tip them on the effort they put out, and I will tell you right now, the effort is way beyond 100%. My hat's off to the work ethic, to the men and women of our industry. It is truly remarkable. Let's talk islands. We'll go down to Todos Santos Island, off Ensenada, a little bit of barracuda, good bass fishing going on. Occasional yellowtail there at Coronado Islands. We continue to see really good yellow action there. Anywhere, I want to say from 10 to 50 plus yellows on a sport boat at the Coronado Islands. And then there's barracuda and bass and some bonita mixed in with it. Pretty darn good. San Clemente Island, the Fury took a look at that out of Dana War Sport Fishing, and they said, hey, you know what? It was pretty darn good here at Clemente. We had calico bass. We had, I think, 25 barracuda, 6 yellowtail out of about 12 hookups, some nicer grade yellows, most of them on the fly line bait, biting very, very well on that fly line, and also a few surface iron fish. So Clemente, not all that bad. Catalina Island, kind of picky. Private boaters are experiencing wonderful calico bass fishing right now. The calico bass bite has been nothing short of remarkable. That bite is excellent. And again, if you fish a little bit lighter line, that is a great way for you to get a bite. So you can drop down to 15 pound. You'll get bit all day long. But to be perfectly candid with you, the bite has been outstanding, even fishing 20 pound or heavier than that. It's been good. Sardine, also very effective, has been the chovy. If you have chovy in your bait, that works really, really well. Also, back to that bluefin tuna offshore, a lot of fish on the fly line bait. Choosing a good hot bait is super important. There's a couple of ways you can go on that now. It's getting to the point where I've been talking about fishing 25 in a finicky bite. I will say that that is still something you want to keep in your head. Fishing fluorocarbon, www.optionusa.com. But man, I'll tell you, these fish are getting way bigger. So when you're fly lining, you probably want to be fishing something like 40 pound and even heavier than that if you can get away with it, because we have a lot of that 60 to 80 to over 100 pound bluefin tuna wandering around right now. So it's really been a remarkable bite. Bigger fish, heavier line is what you want to fish. Now, 2 ways to hook your bait. One way is to fish a fly line bait, a nose hook bait, because a nose hook bait allows you to retrieve the bait slowly, and you get bit that way in so many cases. The other way to do it is to choose a really good hot bait, butt hook the bait. It will swim down and into the bite zone much better if you do that. So 2 ways to do it. Talk to your crew. Are you getting bit on a long soak where you soak your bait for a prolonged period of time and then you bring it back slowly and they'll bite that every single time? There's been a lot of bites in that way. Or do you belly hook? Now you can observe, just watch. How are guys getting bit? The guy's belly hooking his bait and he's got 3 fish on the boat. You know what to do. You see a guy winding his bait back slowly and he's getting bit. You know what to do. And the crew is going to tell you, make friends with a crew member, and that will help you very, very much. All right, but we'll bounce you up to the Channel Islands now, where the boys have been looking for that sea bass. They've been looking for that halibut. They've been looking for bluefin tuna because they're seeing BFT up there. Dennis Monahan was on board the Mirage, and Dennis said we gave it all we could. Couldn't find any of those game fish to bite, so we loaded up on beautiful, big quality rockfish. That is the beauty of the Channel Islands. You back it up with some of the best rock fishing around on a regular basis. Bob Matsumoto was on board with our friend Tucker McCombs on board the Endeavor. Again, they're looking for bluefin and white sea bass. Couldn't get it to bite, but man, they went to the land of the giants and caught all kinds of big lings and rockfish. Stupendous fishing up there for those guys. Really excellent. Coral Sea, Santa Barbara, they saw bluefin tuna. The stuff was up and boiling around. Couldn't get it to bite. Again, really excellent rock fishing for them also, so you can hear what is going on. Now, let's talk about our local bite. San Diego still experiencing some of the best calico bass fishing we've seen in many, many years, maybe even decades. It's been that good. The calicos are biting, of course, on a fly line bait, chovy or sardine, and lighter line. It will always get you biting. Even down to 12 pound, you can pull on those calicos plenty hard with 12 pound Opsin fluorocarbon. Go up to 15, and again, when it's wide open, you're biting the 20 and even above that. Really, really well, like a sliding egg sinker. Really gets the job done nicely for you all. Moving you up the coast, seeing good fishing there at Oceanside. Dana Wharf sport fishing, good bass fishing also. Here in the LA Orange County area, Newport to say Marina Del Rey, good sand and calico bass fishing. Perhaps the best year we've seen in decades on the local bass bite. Twilight fishing on the Monte Carlo. What's wrong with that? Nice sand bass and some sculpin to go along with it. Calico bass, native sun, 22nd Street Landing, San Pedro. Limits on the sand bass and calico bass, and a little bit of barracuda to go along with that also. I'm looking to see if these guys are getting bit. I hear them yelling back there. Also, City of Long Beach picked away at the bass. Had a little bit tougher trip, but those kinds of trips will manifest every once in a while. Now that we're back to the weekdays and the boat pressure is off, I think you'll see even better fishing. The Betty-O, my dear friend Fish from Worm King Baits. His trip was a couple days ago, but he just got me the info. Fish, come on, man. It's a morning report. We want this fresh, but I got to go back to it because it was a spectacular trip. Fish is a great host, and everybody on board was catching fish on the Worm Kings, and it was really good fishing on the bass. Even had halibut. Really, really great fishing, and Fish is one of the nicest guys with his wife, Kim, that you'll ever want to meet. They had an absolute ball. No question about that. Some really good local fishing going on. And the surf is on fire right now. These guys, I don't know if they've caught anything since I've been blah, blah, blahing with you here this morning, but they've got a nice bucket full of fish, a nice spot fin croaker. They're digging up sandworms. There's good fishing south of the border. Collinette, some really excellent fishing going on down there from the surf in the San Diego region. We see some halibut and spot fin croaker here this morning. Spot fin and yellowfin croaker, some halibut also, and moving you up the coast all the way up past Oxnard. Some really good surf fishing. A lot of Corvina right now, so you can fish, of course, the lighter line, like 6 pound with little trout rod, a little Carolina, maybe a 1/4 ounce slider, and a sandworm or a sand crab, or stop off at Big Fish Bait and Tackle and load up on some baits there. They've got all kinds of baits. Man, I don't know what to tell you. It is really good fishing right now. However, we've got that wind, and I know a lot of you who are on the Horizon trip are concerned about that. You know what? It's Mother Nature. We got to let this play out. We can't control that. All we can control is proper tackle and having a really great time on board, and I guarantee we'll be doing that. Make sure you are bringing some heavier tackle for that Horizon trip or any other bluefin tuna trip that you are on. There's a lot of 60+ pound BFT running around right now. We'll continue to watch that. We'll continue to watch the surf. We'll continue to keep you in touch with all the very latest. And of course, deeply appreciated is your likes and you sharing these videos, ticking the bell so you know when there's new content, and of course, subscribing to the channel. Don't miss us on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. As always, it's a great pleasure for me to start my mornings with you. No more Orange County Fair. No more sleep deprivation. I can become human once again and spend all my time with you. Have a great one. I'll see you guys tomorrow night on board the Horizon. The great people who have signed up for that. Don't forget, Pat is over at Catalina Island providing bait on a regular basis, and I'll be watching things today and letting you know if anything else transpires. Have a great one. Thanks for spending time with me, and I hope to see you really, really soon.